Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Washington Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news. So, folks, when we talk about the NFL offseason and the upcoming 2025 season, one thing is clear. The NFC East, as always, is shaping up to be one of the most competitive divisions in football. And right now, there's a rumor, an interesting one, that could shake the foundations of the division, and it involves the Washington Commanders and a major trade that might be on the horizon. That's right, we're talking about a potential blockbuster move involving none other than Travis Etienne, the talented running back from Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. How does this fit into the Commanders' puzzle? Well, stick with me because this could be a game changer, a move that might define how Washington approaches their roster in the coming months. Let's rewind a little and set the stage for what's happening in Jacksonville. The Jaguars, under new general manager James Gladstone, have been making some serious waves. If you've been following the NFL news lately, you know that Gladstone made a bold statement by going all in during the 2025 NFL Draft. Their approach was clear from the start. They wanted to make this draft electric. And boy, did they deliver. They opened the draft by trading up to acquire the number 2 overall pick, a move that immediately sent shockwaves through the league. And with that pick, they drafted Colorado wide receiver and cornerback Travis Hunter, a versatile player who can contribute in multiple ways on offense and defense. It's a bold move, and it shows that Jacksonville isn't messing around. They're looking to revamp their roster and compete at a higher level. But the Jaguars weren't done there. No, they kept pushing, making 2 more trades in the 3rd round, eventually adding 9 new players to their roster ahead of the 2025 season. That's a significant influx of talent, especially considering how many of these rookies could potentially impact the team right away. Among those rookies, the offensive additions stand out, particularly the running backs Dail from Virginia Tech and Syracuse's LeQuint Allen. Tootin, drafted in the 4th round, is particularly intriguing because he is considered one of the fastest running backs in the draft class, running a blazing 4.32-second 40-yard dash, and he's shown to be a reliable pass catcher with 50 receptions in 2 years at Virginia Tech, with 0 drops. That kind of explosiveness and hands make him a real threat both on the ground and in the passing game. Meanwhile, LeQuint Allen, picked in the 7th round, is regarded by some as one of the best receiving backs in the class, which adds even more dimension to Jacksonville's backfield. Now here's where it gets interesting for the Commanders. The Jaguars, with this influx of talent, might be looking at their current running back situation and considering some tough decisions. Travis Etienne, who has been a key player for Jacksonville since he was drafted, has not quite lived up to the initial expectations. While he was productive in 2023, especially in the red zone, his efficiency declined in 2024, and by the end of last season, he was losing significant snaps and touches to Tank Bigsby. That's a clear sign that the Jaguars are eyeing a fresh start at the position, especially with a player like Dail, who could potentially take over as the primary back, given his speed, pass-catching ability, and explosive style. Here's the kicker: if Tootin is seen as a potential impact rookie, and the team is also comfortable with their depth at the position, it might open the door for Jacksonville to consider trading Travis Etienne. And that's where Washington comes into the picture. The Commanders, as we know, have been trying to bolster their backfield. Brian Robinson Jr. has been a solid early down runner, a workhorse, but he's not exactly a dynamic receiving threat. And while Austin Eckler is a good pass catcher and still has some juice left, he's entering his age 30 season, and the future is uncertain. So a player like Etienne could fit perfectly into Washington's plans. He's versatile enough to contribute both as a rusher and as a receiver, which could give the Commanders' offense a major boost. Think about it. Washington has been quietly building a solid foundation on offense, and adding a player like Etienne might be the missing piece they need to take that next step. With the team eyeing a deep playoff run and even a shot at the Super Bowl, they need offensive weapons that can make a difference, and Etienne is exactly that. He can be a dual-threat back, someone who can take pressure off the passing game, especially with the talented receivers, and help keep defenses honest. Plus, with the potential of a contract extension looming for Etienne, the Jaguars might be motivated to move him now rather than lose him for nothing in free agency later. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Washington Commanders news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. So imagine this. The Commanders, who have been patient and strategic in their offseason moves, pulling the trigger on a trade for Travis Etienne. It makes perfect sense when you consider their current roster composition and the needs they've been trying to address. Washington's front office, led by Ron Rivera, has been focused on creating a balanced, explosive offense. They've added pieces on defense, but the offense still needs that extra spark, someone who can carry the load, catch out of the backfield, and help diversify the attack. Etienne fits all of those criteria. He's young, talented, and could immediately slot in as the primary back, helping quarterback Sam Howell and the rest of the offense to operate more efficiently. Moreover, the timing might be perfect for Washington. The draft just happened, and while they didn't select a high-end running back in the early rounds, that doesn't mean they're done. Sometimes, the best moves are made in the trade market, especially when a team like Jacksonville might be motivated to deal a player like Etienne for the right price. The Commanders have draft capital and cap space to facilitate such a move, and if they see the value in acquiring Etienne, they should absolutely go for it. It would be a statement move, signaling to the division and the league that Washington is serious about contending. Now, let's zoom out for a moment and reflect on what this could mean for the NFC East overall. The Giants, Eagles, and Cowboys have all been busy in their own right, making improvements and shoring up their rosters. The Eagles, for example, have a solid core with Jalen Hurts leading the offense, and the Cowboys have been aggressive on defense and in the draft. The Giants have been trying to rebuild their offensive line and add playmakers. But if Washington manages to land a dynamic back like Etienne, it could tilt the balance of power in the division. The Commanders would have an offensive weapon that defenses would need to respect, making their entire attack more unpredictable and dangerous. And don't forget, the NFC East has a long history of tough, gritty battles, and teams often win championships with strong running games and solid defenses. Adding a player like Etienne could help Washington control the clock better, establish the run early, and set up the play-action passing game that Howell and the receivers thrive in. It's a recipe for success, and it's exactly the kind of move that could elevate Washington's status from a good team to a genuine playoff contender. Of course, all of this hinges on whether the Jaguars are willing to part ways with Etienne and what kind of compensation they're asking for. But if the price is right, perhaps a couple of draft picks or a player, Washington should be all in. It's a win-win situation. Jacksonville gets assets to rebuild, and Washington gets a proven weapon for their offense. The NFL offseason is full of surprises, and this could very well be one of the biggest. Looking ahead, fans should keep a close eye on how the Jaguars' roster develops, what they do with their rookie class, and whether trade rumors heat up around Etienne in the coming weeks. For the Commanders, it's about staying patient, but also being ready to pounce when the opportunity arises. The team has shown a willingness to be aggressive when the right player becomes available, and this trade scenario fits perfectly within that mindset. As the team continues to build toward a competitive 2025 season, adding a player like Etienne could be the missing piece that transforms their offense and accelerates their Super Bowl aspirations. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this potential move? Do you think trading for Travis Etienne would be the right call for the team? Would it make them instant contenders in the NFC East? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because your opinion matters so much to us and to the future of the team. Remember, we're all in this together, and your voice is what makes this community special. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, more news, and more deep dives into everything happening with the Washington Commanders. Stay tuned, stay passionate, and let's keep the faith, because the best is yet to come for this team.